Welcome to e-commerce psychology, powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.
Today we're diving into something really fascinating. It might even change how you think about your product videos. Basically, how our brains react when we see someone else doing something. You shared some great material with us, and we've really narrowed it down to the key insights that explain why some demo videos just work. They click, they make you want to try the product.
Exactly. We're going to unpack this whole mirror neuron effect thing and really explore how understanding it can give you powerful strategies for creating learning content, especially those video demos that are just so important in e-commerce. I think your intuition that there's something about learning by watching that's different, that's special, you're spot on.
Okay, mirror neurons. That sounds cool. So what exactly are they? Mirror neurons are a specific type of brain cell that activate both when you do an action and when you watch someone else doing that same action. It's really interesting how they were discovered. Back in the early 90s, scientists studying macaque monkeys were looking at brain activity related to grasping food. And they kind of accidentally discovered that certain neurons fired not only when the monkey grabbed a peanut, but also when they watched a researcher reach for one. It was totally unexpected.
So it's like our brain is mentally mimicking what it sees, like a silent rehearsal.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. They create this sort of internal mental simulation of the action we're watching. This process is really fundamental to what we call observational learning, how we pick up new skills just by watching others. Imagine seeing someone expertly use a tool that you've never handled before. As you watch them, your brain is already beginning to map out the movements involved.
That totally makes sense with how much we learn in our digital lives these days.
Right.
Like figuring out how to fix something from a YouTube video or following a complicated recipe.
Absolutely. Because our mirror neurons light up when we watch these how-to videos. Video becomes this super powerful tool for both teaching and learning. It's like a bridge between just seeing something done and actually understanding how to do it yourself. This link between how our brains work and how we learn visually is so important in making effective online demonstrations.
Okay, so where are these mirror neurons in our brains?
Well, in humans, we find them mainly in areas that control movement and planning, specifically the premotor and motor cortices. Think of the premotor cortex as the planning center for movement. We also find them in the parietal lobe, right at the junction where it meets the temporal lobe. This area is key for interpreting visual information and understanding the meaning behind actions. So basically, they're in these strategic locations in the brain that connect what we see with the actions we might take.
And it's not just any movement that triggers them, right? It has to be something specific.
You're absolutely right. That's a crucial point. They are most active when we watch purposeful, goal-directed actions, not just random movements that don't mean anything. This suggests that their role goes way beyond simple imitation. They seem to help us understand how an action is done, and maybe even more importantly, why it's done. The intention behind it.
So when we're watching a video to learn a new skill, how do these mirror neurons actually help us learn?
Observational learning hinges a lot on what these mirror neurons do. As we watch someone do something, our brains make internal neural patterns that basically copy those actions. This is why even just mentally going over the steps after watching a demo can almost feel like you physically practiced it. It's that internal mirroring process at work. It's laying down the foundation for those neural pathways.
So when I'm trying to follow along with a dance tutorial online, the fact that my mirror neurons are firing is what's helping me eventually get those moves right?
Exactly. Imitation and developing motor skills are directly linked to mirror neurons. When you watch a dancer, for example, your mirror neurons are helping your brain build a kind of neural bridge. It makes it easier for you to copy those moves. Over time, this watch and do cycle really speeds up learning and helps those physical skills become more natural, almost like second nature.
This makes a lot of sense, especially when we think about e-commerce. So when I'm watching a product demo, let's say for a new coffee maker, and I start to imagine myself using it in my kitchen, are my mirror neurons basically giving me a mental test drive?
That is a brilliant analogy. That feeling you get like your muscles are almost engaged, even though you're just watching. It's linked to a concept called motor resonance. And this is tied to this really fascinating idea called embodied cognition, which is the idea that our physical bodies and experiences actually shape how we think and understand the world. So yeah, your brain is basically running a simulation of you using that coffee maker.
And that simulation helps make the first time I actually use the product go a lot smoother.
Precisely. The neural pathways in your brain are taking those observed actions and turning them into potential action plans. So because your brain has already started to create a blueprint of the action through mirror neuron activity actually performing, that action becomes easier when you use the product in real life.
Okay, but just showing the product in a video isn't enough to make someone really learn how to use it or want to buy it right. What are the things that make a demo video really effective for learning and getting people engaged?
You're right. Just showing it isn't enough. Focused attention is key here. If someone watching gets distracted, the benefits of observational learning through mirror neurons really drop off. This is why short, sharp, visually appealing videos tend to do a much better job of holding attention. Engagement is also boosted by using bright visuals and having a presenter who's dynamic, someone who keeps things interesting. And this higher engagement actually makes the mirror neuron effect stronger.
That makes total sense. If a video is boring or just goes on and on, I'm going to zone out.
Exactly. And on top of that, the viewer's own motivation to learn and what we call their self-efficacy, that's their belief in their ability to actually master the skill being shown, that plays a huge role in how actively their brain is involved while they're watching. If someone doesn't think they can do it, they're probably not even going to try to picture themselves doing it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If I'm watching a really complicated tech tutorial and I just think, nope, there's no way I can do that, I'm probably not going to pay attention to the details.
Right. And then there's cognitive load. It's like finding the sweet spot. Too much information all at once can overwhelm the viewer, and then their brain can't process and simulate the actions. But if the content is too basic or too slow, it can get boring. So you need to strike that balance. Clear, simple instructions and segments that are well-paced tend to be most effective.
And I guess everyone learns differently too, right?
Absolutely. Everyone has their own learning style. Some people are visual learners. Others learn better by doing things. We call those kinesthetic learners. And some learn best through hearing, auditory learners. While mirror neuron activation is mainly a visual and motor thing, the extent to which it happens can be different for different people.
Yeah.
And of course, a viewer's existing knowledge and experience with a topic will affect how well they can take in new info and connect it to what they already know.
So for anyone making these demonstration videos, especially for their online stores, what are some concrete steps they can take to really optimize them for this mirror neuron effect?
One of the most crucial things is making sure that the action being demonstrated is shown clearly and without anything blocking the view. The camera angles should ideally be similar to how the viewer themselves would be seeing it if they were doing the action. If you're demonstrating a product, show it being used in a way that the customer can easily imagine themselves using it.
Right. If I can't see how the product is being used, my brain can't really mirror that action very well.
Precisely. For more complicated processes, break them down into smaller bite-sized steps. Present each step clearly and at a pace that gives viewers time to mentally simulate it. Don't be afraid to use short pauses to let the viewer process the information and mentally rehearse.
How about highlighting specific parts of the demo?
Close-ups of hands are super effective for demonstrating manual tasks. Our brains are just wired to focus on hands and how they move, probably because we use them so much to interact with the world. So showing those important hand movements can really boost engagement in those motor-related mirror neurons.
And the action being shown should have a clear purpose, not just be random movements.
Definitely. You want to highlight actions that are goal-oriented actions with a clear and understandable outcome. If you're just showing random movements that don't seem to have a point, it's less likely to trigger those mirror neurons. Viewers need to grasp the why behind the how.
I've noticed that I pay more attention when a real person is demonstrating something compared to an animation. Is there a reason for that?
There is. Human demonstrators usually trigger a stronger mirror neuron response than animations do. This is probably because of those subtle social cues that we naturally give off as humans, things like facial expressions, body language, and the natural flow of human movement. Our brains are really sensitive to these biological and social signals. Animations can be useful for showing certain concepts, but they sometimes lack that human element that triggers a stronger mirroring effect.
And I imagine the voiceover is important too.
For sure. It's crucial to make sure that the voiceover or narration syncs up perfectly with what's happening visually. When the voice explaining each step lines up with what's on screen, it really reinforces that mental simulation and makes for a smoother learning experience. If the audio and video are out of sync, it can be distracting.
So those are really useful insights into what to show in the video. What about the actual production techniques used to make them? Are there certain methods that can really enhance this neural engagement?
Absolutely. Consider using a first-person perspective when it makes sense. This can really enhance that feeling for the viewer that they are the ones doing the action. It often leads to a much stronger mirror neuron response. While a third-person view is still good, that first-person perspective adds a layer of immersion and engagement.
What about the overall look of the video?
You need great lighting and clear visuals. If viewers have to struggle to see what's happening or the details of a product, they're going to lose focus, and that opportunity for effective mental simulation goes down. So having crisp, clear visuals lets the brain easily lock on to those important details.
And I guess the way the video is edited can make a big difference.
Right. The editing and the flow of the video are key. Too many quick cuts and jumpy transitions can disrupt the natural flow of that mental simulation. But super long, unedited segments can get boring. It's about finding that balance. You want to keep the editing smooth, cohesive, and well-paced to maintain that mirror neuron effect without overwhelming the viewer.
You mentioned earlier that having a dynamic presenter can help. What are the qualities that seem to work best in a demonstrator?
Well, confidence and clear expertise are important. But what's interesting is that relatability also plays a big role. A demonstrator who seems skilled and knowledgeable, but also friendly and approachable, can really boost the viewer's motivation to learn. That sense of connection and trust fosters engagement, and as a result, strengthens mirror neuron activation.
You know, I've seen some videos that actually show common mistakes and then show the right way to do things. Is there a reason for that?
That's a great observation, and yeah, there's actually a learning advantage to that. When viewers see a mistake and then see the correct way to do it, it makes them pay more attention. This contrast helps solidify the right way to do things in their mind. It's almost like learning what not to do helps reinforce the right technique.
That's interesting. And what about showing the same action from different angles?
Using multi-angle demonstrations can be really helpful, especially for more complicated actions or product features. Switching between different views, like a close-up, a side view, or a bird's-eye view, lets the viewer see important details from multiple perspectives. This extra visual info helps create a more complete and accurate mental simulation.
We've talked about how this all applies to learning, but how does knowing about mirror neurons relate specifically to e-commerce and making product demos that actually increase sales?
While these principles apply to a whole bunch of fields like education, training, sports, and even rehab, the e-commerce applications are super relevant for anyone selling online. Good product demo videos, when they're made with this mirror neuron effect in mind, allow potential customers to mentally see themselves using the product. This personal connection, this feeling like they already own the product even before they buy it, can really increase their interest and lead to more sales.
Can you give an example of how that might work in practice?
Sure. Think about those cooking tutorials that really show you how to use a specific kitchen gadget with close-ups of the hands and clear explanations of each step. People watching can almost feel themselves doing those actions, which makes them more confident that they can use the product and more likely to buy it. Same goes for DIY tutorials that clearly show how to use a particular tool. It empowers viewers and makes them want to buy that tool.
So, based on all of this, what are the key evidence-based recommendations for creating really effective demo videos for e-commerce?
The research consistently highlights the importance of having clear learning goals for the viewer. What should they understand about the product or be able to do with it after watching? Breaking down the demo into logical, easy-to-follow steps is really important, as is having a demonstrator that the target audience can connect with and trust. And it's been shown that combining clear verbal explanations with the visual demo is way more effective than just doing one or the other.
What about showing the product being used in different situations or showing how to use key features multiple times?
Yeah, showing the product in a variety of relevant contexts and demonstrating key features a few times can be really helpful for reinforcing memory and making sure people understand how the product works in different situations. You might also want to consider adding some simple interactive elements if the platform allows it, like asking viewers to pause and think about how they would use the product in a specific scenario. And don't underestimate the power of emotion. If you can weave in relatable scenarios or even a little story around how the product is used and the benefits it provides, it can make people feel more connected to it and increase their desire to own it.
It's good to be realistic, though. What are some of the challenges or limitations of trying to use this mirror neuron effect in e-commerce videos?
That's an important point. These days, people's attention spans are pretty short. And if you throw too much information at them at once, it can be overwhelming and actually work against you. Also, you have to remember that different people in different cultures respond differently to certain visuals and tasks. What might be really engaging for one group of people might not be for another.
And then there's the whole issue of how people actually watch videos online.
Yeah, things like internet speed and making sure that the videos work well on different devices are all things you need to think about. The videos need to be optimized for smooth streaming across different platforms. And of course, we have to remember that watching someone use a product, even if it triggers strong mirror neuron activity, is not the same as actually using it yourself. Hands-on experience is still super important for really mastering something and being satisfied with it in the long run.
It sounds like the future of all this is pretty exciting. Are there any new technologies that can make this mirror neuron effect even stronger in online learning and e-commerce?
Oh, definitely. Virtual and augmented reality have huge potential. They could create these incredibly immersive and interactive experiences. Imagine a demo where you feel like you're actually in the room with the product. This could really boost mirror neuron activation by making the viewer feel present in the demonstration. AI-powered personalization could also play a big role by tailoring elements of the video in real time based on how engaged the viewer is or how quickly they're learning.
That sounds like a huge step forward.
Yeah, it really could be.
Yeah.
And maybe in the not-too-distant future, we might even have real-time neural feedback systems. These would adjust the video content based on the viewer's brain activity. Imagine that. And combining this with other learning technologies like interactive quizzes or simulations right in the video could create even more well-rounded and effective learning experiences. And who knows, researchers might even find ways to engage multiple senses at the same time to enhance the mirror neuron effect even more.
Okay, so let's say someone's running an online store and they want to start making better product demo videos based on what we've talked about. What's a quick and easy guide they can follow?
Start by figuring out exactly what you want your viewers to be able to do or understand about your product after watching. Then carefully plan out the key actions you want to show. Pay attention to camera angles that feel natural to the user. Good lighting and a steady camera are essential for clear visuals. And when you're editing, focus on smooth transitions and clear step-by-step instructions, both visually and with your narration. Most importantly, test your videos with your target audience and be willing to make changes based on their feedback and how they interact with the videos. So if you really get the power of mirror neurons, you can appreciate why well-made demo videos are so effective at helping people learn and imagine themselves using your products. It's all about creating that mental connection and making the experience feel intuitive and doable.
Yeah, it's amazing how our brains are wired to learn just by watching. I hope this deep dive has given you a new and helpful perspective on how we engage with and learn from videos, especially in the ever-changing world of e-commerce. This has been e-commerce psychology powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.